The paradigm shift that I'm about to share with you right now is responsible for hundreds of thousands of dollars of revenue over the years. It's something that comes up all the time. It's continuing to get worse because of all the low budget prices for everything all over the place for web design right now. It's tricky. It's tricky because it really involves kind of two paradigm shifts. One, the way that we think about our own services, but also we have to change the way our clients view working with us. And let me give you an example. Tell me if this sounds familiar. You've got a proposal that you've written and you feel really good about it. You're sharing it with your client. You feel awesome. It's not just the website. You've got other stuff too. You've got ads and SEO and Google Business Profile. You're helping people get reviews. You're building an email list. You're nurturing the leads. You're driving people to a call calendar. Like you got this whole solution that's really intended to drive traffic, pull leads, land clients, get great results for your clients. And you're thinking, yeah, no, it's several $1,000s. It's not cheap, but I'm probably even undervaluing what I could be charging for this because it's so awesome. But it's going to be fun to build. It's going to be exciting to see the leads come in. I like helping people. It's going to be fun to give this guy a good deal. And you start going through the solution, and then the client's like, why does it cost so much? Like, what is all of this SEO stuff? Can you kind of go into detail as to what you're going to do for SEO? Or we don't need a Google Business Profile. Why would we do that? Or we don't need ads. We're just going to just do organic stuff or whatever. Like we don't need ads and lead magnets. Can you just take that part out? How much does that cost? And so they start nitpicking the proposal and trying to get line item like descriptions and prices so they can just kind of X out the parts that they don't want. And the temptation is to say, okay, that sounds fine. Here's what I'm charging for each one of the individual services. And if you don't want a particular service, we don't have to do it. I just want you to be happy. I want to give you what you're asking for. And that's such a bad idea. It is such a bad idea, especially today, to go down that route because you end up just this downward price spiral. But more important than that, you end up breaking the solution and your clients don't get the results that they need because they're missing critical components of what you're trying to give them. And the paradigm shift is shifting away from thinking of my value as being like a list of services. Like, do you need ads? Do you need SEO? Do you need a better website? Like instead of listing those services, to put it together into a comprehensive single solution, like a single thing. I've got two kind of crazy examples about this. Well, one's a crazy example, the other's not so bad. Here's the crazy one. So it's even a little embarrassing. When I first started learning how to sail, my wife and I, we bought this little sail. In fact, she wasn't even my wife yet. We were just dating at the time, but we bought this sailboat. And it was the first time we had ever had a sailboat that actually had like two sails to it. It's probably like 12, 15 feet long. It wasn't a very big boat. It was on a little trailer, and it had two sails, and one of them I felt like it's like this huge giant. Because I was accustomed to like windsurfing or little skiffs or whatever, and this is my first like legit sailboat. And we gone in to pick it up from this guy, and we trailered it to the marina. And when we got to the marina, I had noticed that a piece of the rope had kind of bounced out of the trailer a little bit. It wasn't even like a sailboat trailer. I kind of like put it on like a utility trailer because I just needed it one time. So it wasn't like optimal hauling of this boat or whatever. And the rope kind of had bounced out of the trailer and was dragging on the ground behind the trailer for a while, and it was all frayed up and everything. But it was a really long rope. And so I said, well, we don't need, it's only maybe like 10 feet of the rope or whatever was frayed. So I kind of cut off 10 feet of it. It's like it kind of like burned the remaining end so it wouldn't unravel anymore. And said, okay, we still have plenty of rope. It's a long rope. So let's just go on. Come to find out, we get the boat in the water and we go off. So we're at like right at the mouth of the Chesapeake Bay on the Virginia side, on the Potomac River. So we go out, it's a little bit over a mile offshore. And right when you get outside of the cove area of where we're going, the wind will shift a little bit and just kind of gets a little gusty. And a gust of wind comes in. And, I know enough about sailing to know that you don't just like keep the sail all tight. You just kind of let it luff out. And when I let the boom just kind of go out into the wind, it increased the amount of rope that was necessary to hold the sail up. And what happened was I had cut off like 10 feet of that rope stupidly, not realizing what it was for. And the rope just kind of slipped out of my hands and kind of went up the mast and down the other side. The sail just sort of sinks and we're stuck out in the middle of the bay, right? So we're like over a mile off the shore. And you can't fix that. There's no way to do anything about it while you're still on the water. There's no way to get the sail to go back. So I ended up, we were with our dog too. It was like me, my wife, Emily, she wasn't my wife yet. And we had this Amstaff dog that we were with. It was awesome. So I jump overboard. It's like, hey, just sit in the boat it wasn't a bad, it was sunny, pleasant weather and everything. It wasn't going to cause any problems, but it was going to take like an hour or so because I had to swim all the way back to shore. It's like over a mile. Luckily, I'm good at swimming. So, so I jump overboard. The dog then tries to chase me, and then that caused a little bit of a problem. But we get the dog back in the boat. I swim to shore, get some help, get somebody to come out on a boat and everything. My parents and everything had a boat and everything. That was a motor boat that we could tow everything back. So we saved the day, but the problem was I didn't see the big picture. I couldn't see how the sailboat actually worked because I just kind of stupidly gung-ho went out without realizing how this new sailboat worked. And I cut off a critical part of the component of this boat, right? So I'm stranded out in the water. Another example that's a little bit less embarrassing, just more theoretical, is what if you were trying to sell somebody like a 3-leg stool? And I like this analogy a lot because the 3 legs tend to represent the traffic, the leads, and the clients. And like when I build a solution, I want to have those 3 things covered. And so you can think of it as a 3-leg stool. But if you're not looking at it like a stool, if you're just looking at it as like 3 poles and a platform, you'll think, well, why do I have to have 3 poles? Wouldn't 2 poles be just fine? And then when you go to build the stool out of it, it's like you can't sit on a 2-leg stool very easy. It's all wobbly, right? You need all 3 to have a solid foundation. But if you're not seeing it as a stool, if you're just seeing it as the ingredients, oh, well, we've got 3 of these. I don't really need 3, 2, or maybe even 1 is fine. And so you end up throwing away really important parts of the solution. So the paradigm shift is really twofold. One, it's really important for us to think about what we're doing as giving people sailboats or giving people stools, not giving people ropes and sails and masts and all that stuff, and not giving people like legs and platforms, but the big picture, to think of it as a whole rather than individual services. And then to let the client see the whole picture. Like, why do they actually get clients? Where does the traffic come from? How do we pull the leads? How do we convert the leads into clients and show the whole story? And then when you show people the thing, like if you show people, like, here's my 3-leg stool, does this make sense? Like, oh yeah, that makes sense. I see why I need those components. And you don't ever get any objections. Well, can't we just throw one of the legs away? No one ever says that because they see why they need all 3, but it's in the context of the whole. And that's the paradigm shift. You have to first figure out, how am I going to build a solution for somebody, and then show the whole thing. And it's not the individual, it's such a subtle shift. It's not a big shift because you're still doing the same stuff. You're just presenting it in a way that allows the client to see the whole picture. And if you can do that, it's radically better for everyone because we get higher paying clients, we get recurring revenue because a lot of the stuff is month-to-month stuff, and the client gets ongoing awesome results as well. One of the components to all of this is it's very, very hard to build an outcome-driven solution without knowing who the solution is for. And it's also hard to do it kind of one-off custom. Like if you just get random leads from all over the place, it's hard to convince somebody that I have this pre-built system that works. So what I like to do is I like to do a solution-first agency approach where I actually know who I'm working with before I try to get leads. Like I say, I'm going to target this certain niche. And then I build the solution based on what I know they have, what their outcomes are that they want. So really, it's kind of like a 3-step process. I figure out who the audience is. Then I figure out what outcomes are they actually looking for. Not what services, like what results. Like in terms of, I want to be able to sail my boat from here to there. I want to be able to sit on this stool. Like those kinds of outcomes. And then I figure out, well, what do I need to build in order to generate the outcomes that my selected niche is looking for? And that gives you the whole big picture idea. One of the trickiest parts is picking the niche, the very first step. If you need help with that, I can help with it. It's totally free. Check out lead.blue/leads. I have what I think of as an exhaustive course that's totally free on how to pick a niche and how to actually find leads from within the selected niche. It's lead.blue/leads, totally free. Check it out. I think you'll love it. But once you have that, then you can show people the big picture, and that enables them to actually see why they need all the components. And that gets us better leads, long-term recurring revenue, great results for the clients, and it's responsible for hundreds of thousands of dollars. Like once I made this shift, everybody gets both the website and the marketing plan because they realize they need all 3 legs of the stool. Now here's one little caveat. They don't have to buy the biggest stool first, right? You can have like a small stool, a medium-sized stool, and a larger stool, but all of the stools have 3 legs. So what that means is all of the solutions that we put together have traffic, leads, and clients as components to it. Like, what am I going to do to drive traffic? What am I going to do to pull leads? And what am I going to do to convert those leads to clients? And I want to have some features in each of those 3 categories. Now, as I ascend into larger projects, I have more features in each of the 3 categories. And by more, I really mean that in two ways. Sometimes it's literally more individual things we're doing. Like, for example, maybe in the beginning, we just start with a Google profile and reviews and maybe some basic SEO. And then we move up to the next thing where we get some paid ads involved. And we move up to the next level where maybe we're doing social media management and long-term organic SEO marketing and content marketing and stuff like that. So I'm kind of increasing the number of engines that I put into the traffic layer, for example, or I could increase the intensity of any one of the engines. So instead of saying, well, we're going to do one content marketing blog post a month, maybe I do one a week. So that would be an increase in intensity, even though I'm doing the same thing. So the point that I'm making, though, is that I'm doing something for all three components, for the traffic, the leads, and the clients. I'm just flexing the intensity. So that way I've got something that's available and accessible to everybody that I talk to, whether they want to jump in right at the top and get the big thing first, somewhere in the middle, somewhere at the bottom. And the client doesn't really even need to decide, do I really want to get the results or not get the results, in the same way that they would if you don't flip your mindset on this and you say, well, yeah, we can veto the ads or we can veto these individual services or whatever. That gives people the ability to accidentally cut off that 10-foot section of rope that they really need, or accidentally remove one of the legs that when they start building the stool and sitting on it, they're like, man, I wish I had that third leg. I'm falling over here. But it doesn't have to be the biggest stool for everyone always. And so you can sort of hierarchy your way, like a 3-tiered system, and you're allowing people to flex the timeline more so than the price or the results. Because even if they start down at the bottom, it's okay, because they can move up to the middle later, and then they can move up to the top after that over some time. So you can say, how fast do you want to get the results, rather than, do you want results or not? You see what I mean? It's a huge, huge difference. Because if you just give somebody a website or just redesign their logo and you sort of like line item veto all the other parts, they're not going to be able to get results from that. They're not going to, the stool will fall over. Even a small stool will fall over if it doesn't have all 3 legs. But if you give them all the components, you can say, hey, this little stool's working out great. Would you like to upgrade to the next level and get more results faster? Yeah, that sounds great. And then you can keep doing that until everybody gets to the top. And so that's why it's such a huge win for us, because we get large recurring revenue clients, probably on an average of maybe $10,000 per year per client, kind of roughly speaking is what I would like to shoot as a goal. And then the clients are getting the results. Like, they don't have a situation where they have a wobbly stool or no stool at all, or chopped off the 10 feet of rope and now they're stranded out in the bay. That's awesome, right? So in fact, I'll even go so far as to say that the Wall Street Journal has just posted an article that I talked about last time, where they think digital agencies are dying because of this line item service problem. Now, they're thinking of it in a slightly different way. They're thinking AI has come in and is overtaking all these different services and driving the price down. And that's really what I started this video talking about, is if you don't flip from thinking about services to thinking about holistic solutions, then we're at danger of all of this stuff the Wall Street Journal is talking about. Like, check out this video right here and you'll see what I mean. Or just jump over to lead.blue/leads and let's start doing it the right way. Either way, I'll see you in just a minute.